The search for the fountain of youth is not just a myth from old stories. It is a real and serious quest for modern science. For centuries, people have dreamed of finding a way to stop or even reverse the aging process. We all notice the signs as we get older. Our skin gets wrinkles, our energy levels drop, and we become more prone to illness. Scientists and doctors around the world are working tirelessly to understand why this happens. They are not just looking for ways to make us look younger, but more importantly, to help us stay healthier for longer. This desire to extend our healthy years, or health span, is one of the biggest challenges in medicine today. This fascinating field of research has led scientists down many interesting paths. They have studied everything from diet and exercise to our very own genes. One of the most intriguing ideas, however, comes from something that flows within all of us: our blood. The idea that something in the blood of the young could hold the key to vitality is a concept that has captured the imagination of storytellers and scientists alike. Could it be that the secret to staying young is not in a magical potion, but in the biological components that our bodies produce naturally when we are in our prime? This question is now being explored with rigorous scientific methods. Recent breakthroughs are beginning to turn this ancient dream into a potential reality. We are learning that as we age, the composition of our blood changes. It seems to lose some of its powerful regenerative ingredients and may even gain components that accelerate aging. This has led to a very specific and exciting question. What would happen if we could reintroduce the beneficial elements from young blood into an older system? Could we actually turn back the clock at a cellular level? The possibility is thrilling, and it is driving a new wave of research aimed at unlocking these youthful secrets. This line of thinking is not just about cosmetic benefits like smoother skin, although that is certainly part of the appeal for many. The real goal is much bigger. If we can understand how to rejuvenate our cells, we might be able to prevent or treat many age-related diseases that affect millions of people. Conditions like heart disease, dementia, and arthritis are all linked to the aging process. By tackling the root cause, the aging of our cells, we could potentially lead longer, healthier, and more active lives. The research into young blood, therefore, represents a significant step forward in our mission to improve human health. To test the powerful idea of young blood, scientists designed a very clever experiment. They wanted to see, up close, what would happen to old human skin cells if they were exposed to the components of youth. The researchers started by taking skin cells, specifically fibroblasts, which are responsible for creating collagen and keeping our skin firm. These cells were collected from older human donors. In the laboratory, these cells were grown in petri dishes, creating a controlled environment where they could be closely observed. This setup allowed the scientists to study the direct effects of different treatments on the aging cells without any other interfering factors. The next step was to introduce the youthful elements. The scientists used two key ingredients. The first was blood serum taken from young, healthy donors. Serum is the liquid part of the blood that is left after the red and white blood cells have been removed. It is packed with proteins, hormones, and other signaling molecules. The second ingredient was something called mesenchymal stromal cells, which were taken from the bone marrow of young individuals. These are special stem cells known for their ability to repair tissue and reduce inflammation throughout the body. The scientists wanted to see if these two components, separately and together, could revitalize the old skin cells. The experiment was carried out with great precision. The old skin cells were divided into different groups. One group was treated with just the young blood serum. Another group was treated with just the young bone marrow cells. A third, crucial group was treated with a combination of both the young serum and the young bone marrow cells. There was also a control group of old cells that received no special treatment, which allowed the scientists to have a baseline for comparison. By setting up the experiment in this way, they could pinpoint exactly what was causing any changes they might observe in the cells. For several days, the scientists watched and waited, carefully monitoring the cells under powerful microscopes. They measured various signs of aging in the cells. For example, they looked at how quickly the cells were dividing and growing, a process that slows down significantly with age. They also looked for specific molecular markers of senescence, which is a state where cells stop dividing and can cause damage to surrounding tissues. The goal was to gather clear, measurable data that would tell them whether this young blood treatment was truly making a difference at a fundamental biological level. The results of the experiment were quite remarkable and gave the scientists a lot to be excited about. When they examined the old skin cells that had been treated, they saw a visible transformation. The cells that received the combination of young blood serum and young bone marrow cells showed the most dramatic changes. These once-old cells started to behave like much younger cells. They began to divide and multiply more rapidly, a clear sign of renewed vitality. It was as if the treatment had wound back their biological clock, encouraging them to grow and repair themselves with a vigor they had long since lost. This rejuvenation was not just on the surface. The scientists looked deeper into the very chemistry of the cells. They found that the treated cells were producing more collagen. Collagen is an essential protein that gives our skin its structure and elasticity. Its decline is a major reason why we get wrinkles as we age. By stimulating the old cells to produce more collagen, the treatment was effectively helping them to rebuild their youthful framework. This discovery was incredibly important because it showed that the changes were not just cosmetic. The fundamental functions of the skin cells were being restored to a more youthful state. Perhaps the most fascinating discovery was the identification of specific proteins that seemed to be responsible for these changes. The scientists found that the young bone marrow cells were releasing special proteins that directly communicated with the old skin cells, telling them to behave differently. One of these proteins, a signaling molecule, was found to be particularly active in reversing the signs of aging in the skin cells. This was a crucial piece of the puzzle. It suggested that the anti-aging effect was not a vague, magical property of young blood, but was down to specific, identifiable biological messengers that could potentially be isolated and used. Furthermore, the treatment also appeared to reduce cellular senescence. Senescent, or zombie, cells are old cells that refuse to die but instead linger in our tissues, releasing harmful inflammatory substances that can accelerate the aging of neighboring cells. The experiment showed that the treatment with young components helped to clear out these damaging senescent cells. This dual action, promoting youthful activity while also removing the agents of aging, helps to explain why the overall effect was so powerful. It was a comprehensive rejuvenation at the cellular level, driven by the powerful chemistry of youth. The idea of using young blood for rejuvenation is not new. It has roots that go back centuries. Throughout history, there have been tales and even bizarre medical attempts based on this concept. Stories of aristocrats bathing in the blood of the young or seeking transfusions to restore their vitality have been around for a long time. These early attempts were based on superstition and lacked any scientific understanding. However, they highlight a deep-seated human desire to conquer aging. What is different today is that we can finally investigate this ancient idea with the tools of modern biology, moving it from the realm of myth into the world of credible science. This new research is incredibly important because it provides a scientific foundation for what was once just a hopeful theory. By showing that components from young blood and bone marrow can indeed reverse signs of aging in human cells, it opens up a whole new frontier for medicine. We are no longer just guessing. We have tangible evidence. The discovery of specific proteins that drive this rejuvenation is particularly hopeful. It means that in the future, we might not need to use actual blood or cells, which can be complicated and carry risks. Instead, we could potentially create treatments that use just these key proteins. The implications for our future health are profound. If we can develop safe and effective treatments based on these findings, we could change how we approach aging. Instead of just managing the symptoms of age-related diseases, we might be able to prevent them from developing in the first place by keeping our cells healthier for longer. This could mean fewer people suffering from chronic conditions and an older population that remains active, independent, and healthy. This research gives us a glimpse of a future where growing older does not automatically mean growing frail. In conclusion, while we are still in the early days, this research provides a powerful message of hope. The secret to youthful vitality may indeed lie within our own biology, waiting to be unlocked. Scientists have taken a significant step by demonstrating that old human skin cells can be made young again in the lab. This work paves the way for the development of the next generation of anti-aging therapies. The age-old dream of the fountain of youth may remain a fantasy, but a future with a longer, healthier life is looking more and more like a scientific possibility.